welcome to Footyplus, brought to you by Toyota. Today we're at Coopers Stadium, which is the home of Adelaide United, to bring you another show full of all things South Australian sport. Coming up on this episode, a favourite son returns to the Reds in a new role.
My body's kind of had enough.
And one of the state's V8 Supercar stars shares his remarkable journey.
I had a very slim chance of survival at the start. My parents, my sister, all said goodbye to me.
But first to footy, and after injuring his knee in round 2, Crows veteran Sam Jacobs was forced to take some time away from the game. And it paved the way for promising ruckman Reilly O'Brien to take centre stage. And after some impressive performances, he's managed to keep his mentor out of the side. Footyplus caught up with the towering duo.
They fight for the same ball on the training track and for just one place in the Adelaide team.
And every week it's sort of a selection issue, so yeah, the pressure's definitely on.
But far from rivals, the master Sam Jacobs and the apprentice who surprisingly dethroned him as Adelaide's #1 ruckman are the closest of mates.
You've got to kick it, like a little switch kick, I'm turn it straight over.
I'm really happy for him. He's a guy who's really diligent with his preparation. He's a really hard trainer. He really tries to get better in every facet, and hopefully I've had a little bit of an impact on that.
Jacobs hasn't played an AFL game since injuring his knee in round 2, unable to win back his spot because of the remarkable form of his understudy.
And he is emerging before our eyes.
44 doesn't fit into 22, so I'm very clear and I've got a lot of clarity around the understanding that we do only play one ruckman at this stage.
He's been a great role model. He's obviously been a great ruckman of the competition, so his ruck craft's so good, and his smarts around the ball, in terms of getting the ball as well, is awesome. So I've just been learning probably firsthand through watching and through coming up against him in training as well.
Early on he probably adjusted to the speed of the game and the physical demands, but especially in the last 4 or 5 weeks, I reckon he's really taken some big strides.
Despite being marooned on 198 AFL games, Jacobs has remained positive throughout a challenging season, using the injury layoff to freshen his mind and body, and then embracing his time in the SANFL.
But Sauce Jacobs comes up with something special.
I went straight to the boys.
Oh, you got to do something.
We need to
turn around on these ones.
Here's Sauce again with a one-handed grab, if you don't mind.
It is good fun, and for whatever reasons, I've played with some pretty close mates this year, so we've I guess been able to support each other and enjoy some footy. But the other side of that is playing with the young guys, who I've really enjoyed that as well, and watching their development. So I guess being able to strip it back, spend time with them has been great for me, and hopefully I've been able to help them a little bit too. But
having recently killed off retirement rumours, the 31-year-old insists he's not getting too comfortable in the second tier.
I'm definitely here to play AFL footy. I'm definitely really clear in that I'm here to play AFL for the Crows, and I really want to contribute towards the back end of the year in finals.
Easier said than done.
Yeah, just loving being out there.
While the Adelaide Crows continue to use West Lakes as their training base, planning is well and truly underway for the club's new headquarters. This week on The Crows Show, you can get an exclusive update on the state-of-the-art facilities.
The focus of our work at the moment is on finalising our master plan, and we're still a few months away from completing that, but there's been an enormous amount of work that's been done.
Make sure you tune in to Channel 7 tomorrow morning at 11:30 a.m. with Mark Bickley and Alana Smith. After a couple of seasons with Melbourne City, Adelaide United club legend Eugene Galekovic is back on familiar territory. He's called time on his decorated career that spanned 20 years and over 300 top-level appearances. And now Galekovic is back in Adelaide as the Reds goalkeeping coach.
Saved by Galekovic. Oh, what a save on the follow-up. That's brought the house down.
After having balls belted at him for most of his life, Eugene Galekovic is enjoying being on the other side of the ball.
I don't miss playing, no. Yeah, I'm not really, looking forward to diving anymore. It's my body's kind of had enough.
Lost from the playing field but not to the game, United's 2016 Grand Final winning captain is excited to be part of a new era at Adelaide.
Yeah, it feels like I've kind of never left.
And about passing on his vast knowledge and expertise to United's current crop of shot stoppers, led by Paul Izzo and understudies Daniel Margush and Isaac Richards.
All good goalkeepers, all very different personalities. And over the last month, I know they're willing to work and work hard. So, with that and with my experience and what I can bring them, hopefully, the improvement, can improve the team and improve their performances and, get this club to where we were a few years back.
Galekovic says new Adelaide United coach Gertjan Verbeek is the most experienced coach he's ever worked with, and United fans can expect to be entertained.
We want to keep the ball. We want to play attacking brand of football, play out from the back, but really entertain. That's his kind of main message.
He agrees it's a critical time in Adelaide's history, with the club craving a consistent identity and culture. He hopes his return, along with that of fellow past players Carl Viet and Bruce Chattay, can help facilitate it.
And we're not just got these jobs because we've been at the club before, but it's important for a few years to try to build something for this football club, build a new style under our new coach. Hopefully that leads to more success.
Success is something Galekovic knows plenty about, having etched his name into Adelaide United folklore by leading the club to its maiden championship in 2016.
It was getting to a time where, am I ever going to win one with this football club? And then I think, when we won it, it was the emotion of being here for so long and finally winning something. It was unreal.
And now determined to bring that winning feeling back to Adelaide, the place he calls home.
Sign up as a free We Fly as One member for your chance to win.
South Australian V8 Supercar driver Scott Pye always knew he wanted to race professionally, but it was a dream that almost didn't happen. Thanks to Harcourts, he reflects on his difficult journey to the top.
Racing was, it was something I kind of stumbled across. I went and tried out a go-kart at a high-kart centre, and at that point I fell in love with four wheels. I moved out of Adelaide when I was 12. Shortly after that move, I was involved in a really serious car accident. Driver fell asleep, I was in the passenger side, and we wandered off the road, hit a tree at 100 kilometres an hour. I think I had a very slim chance of survival at the start. My parents, my sister, all said goodbye to me. I spent around 6 months in a wheelchair, and it was 12 months before I actually was able to get back into racing. The accident, if anything, made me more determined to get back in the kart, but for me the two are very separate. A lot of people do think that motorsport is dangerous, and it is. We're competing at high speeds, we're banging doors and racing really closely together, but the close racing that we have in our championship is probably what makes it so exciting for me. It's just a thrill I get from competing, and you're always, if you get that win, there's not really any other high that I feel day to day that would match that. 2018, was my best season, getting my second podium at Bathurst again, and I got my first race win at the Australian Grand Prix. This year has been tough for a number of reasons, but when you come off the back of your best season, you have expectations. This season, I feel like we've got caught up in a lot of things, and there's been some mistakes that I've made as well, which have really frustrated me. Being realistic, you're always going to lose more than you win. You might have 2 weeks between an event, and sometimes the downtime for me became a little bit destructive. I couldn't go and work on my skills or anything like that, and starting a business has given me that outlet where I'm able to focus on something between the events and then be very clear-minded when I go back to racing. One Night Media itself came about through doing my own social media and playing with video content and creating things. The biggest thing for me with 1-9 is not necessarily what it is, but what it does for me. You know, I like to think of 1-9 Media as my work, and then my racing's my hobby, even though I'm still a professional at racing. It's great to have those two and have the outlet, and I think both of them benefit from that.
The Adelaide Crows legacy esports team is continuing to kick goals in the cyber world. When you spend majority of your day in front of a computer, locked in battles decided by fractions of a second, top quality equipment is essential to performance and well-being. We got a closer look at the hardware that's keeping these stars at the top of their game.
Having good equipment is crucial. I imagine it'd be the same with any sporting athlete. If they didn't have the right boots or something was off, you just wouldn't be able to focus on the game and just something feels weird.
At the highest level in esports, games really are decided in matters of milliseconds.
And when you're playing at the highest level, everything has to be spot on like it is in practice.
The most important piece of equipment for professional players, I think, is definitely the monitor. I think if you have a monitor that is got a refresh rate of lower than 144 hertz, you're putting yourself at a pretty significant disadvantage.
So my monitor is a Samsung monitor. It's 144 hertz, which means that the refresh rate on it's quite fast, so I get to see things a lot quicker than regular monitors.
My favourite piece of equipment is probably my keyboard, just because I'm so used to it. I like how a mechanical keyboard feels as opposed to a normal keyboard.
So I'm using a mechanical keyboard as well as a Logitech mouse called the G502. And I really like this mouse because the size fits my hand really well. So the last mouse I was using was causing me kind of some hand issues.
If it's too big or too small, it's just going to feel weird moving it around. And when milliseconds are important and like everything has to be spot on, it just has to be a perfect fit.
I think a good chair is very important because your posture means everything.
If you're not sitting right and you feel uncomfortable, you're not going to be focused on the game. So it's crucial. It's one of the most important things.
Some of the weirder pieces of equipment that esports pros use include things like mouse bungees, which is just like a little thing that holds your mouse cable up, gigantic mouse pads that charge your wireless mouse at the same time. Hand warmers are another item that I think people wouldn't realize that pro gamers use, but playing games or operating a controller or a keyboard with cold hands is super difficult, especially at the highest level. Fractions of a second make a huge difference, so it's super important to make sure you're on top of your game.
Esports participation is booming in popularity across the globe, and there was a social media post on Twitter this week that caught our eye. 16-year-old Kyle Giersdorf took home a whopping $3 million paycheck after winning the 2019 Fortnite World Cup. It's the largest single payout in esports history. There were 40 million players that registered to enter the online competition, with the American teenager claiming what has been called a dominant victory. Make sure you keep up to date on all the latest Crows news and behind-the-scenes action on afc.com.au, as well as Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. 1, 2, 3. I hope you've enjoyed the show. A huge thanks to Adelaide United and Cooper Stadium for having us here today. Well, that's it for us for 2019, but you can catch up on all the episodes on 7plus or afc.com.au. Bye for now.